Hey everybody, Gina Perry here. Thanks so much for joining me for today's BAI Presents Coffee Talk. So today I want to talk to you about how we can better control our inventory with some system settings that we have in S2K, right? So especially lately, we've learned why this could be so important. But aside from the general things that we know about why we should be controlling inventory, some unique or uncommon things may happen that really require some extra features, right? That you may or may not use on a daily basis. Product shortages that could be caused by increased demand, like we saw with PPE during the pandemic, or just the pandemic in general, can cause product shortages, panicking, toilet paper buying, right? That kind of thing. There may be a natural disaster or a disaster at our manufacturing plants. I've had suppliers and manufacturers in my past that have burned down that caused major product shortages in the industry. Could be seasonal related, maybe due to weather, increased demand based on whatever season we're in. Perhaps it's like a flu shot, for example. Or maybe it's just a fad. Maybe all of a sudden we are distributing a product that is a fad item and we're experiencing shortages in the industry. We also may need to control our inventory a little better due to customer restrictions. And those restrictions may be regulated government-wise. They could maybe it's products that require special licensing. Maybe it's I can't ship hazmat to that location, right? There's different regulatory reasons why I may need to restrict product. It could just be an internal policy, whether it's their internal policy or yours, but whatever the case may be, is we are not shipping these products to this customer. Maybe it's a pricing agreement. I've been in situations where I have a pricing agreement that's maybe a cost plus, sometimes a cost minus situation, but that is going to exclude certain lines of product. And that may or may not be contractual, or it's just a general contractual agreement that you're going to buy products X, Y, and Z and nothing else from me. Okay, so there are some tools in S2K that can help us meet this requirement and make life just again a little bit easier. I always say in my demos and my reviews that the goal is to automate as many things as possible, and let's get our ROI, let's get the benefit from this investment that we've made into ERP. So there are some features that we can utilize in our base package. We're going to talk about 4 of them today: customer bins, customer item restrictions, order guides. And if you are in the pharmaceutical industry, or if you kind of are, kind of aren't, and you're using the pharmaceutical options in the package, there is a customer order max quantity that I'm going to show you real quick as well. So what are customer bins? In S2K, you can grab a bin that is set up in your warehouse. This does require you to be utilizing warehouse, obviously. You have, we call bins, you might call them pick locations, right? So you select your bin, and in the master file, you're going to see an option that says reserved customer. Once I select that, I can list one or more customers from my customer search and assign them to that bin. What that means is whatever is in that bin, whether virtually or physically, right? If my warehouse takes, let's say I have a general population product. I have plastic cups that I'm going to sell to everybody. But I really, really want to make sure I meet a contractual obligation to AAA Lighting Corp. I can physically or virtually move maybe 100 cases of those cups to this customer bin. When I do that, order entry will only be able to pull from that bin if it is for this customer. Anything in this bin can only go to this customer or the list of customers' orders, right? So that is a good way to control items that are not customer specific, which is another option you have, right? I can order custom product for a customer, but I'm talking general products that are going to be sold maybe to the masses, but I need to grab a bunch and just hold it aside for this customer without disrupting my warehouse and purchasing and order entry and all of those other aspects of the business. So I can do that by assigning a customer to a bin. Another option rather, is our customer item restrictions. So you can find that on the customer order file maintenance menu under item restrictions. When this screen pops up, you're simply going to select the customer that you're looking for. Okay, so I selected Kelson Arts. Now, this grid allows me a multitude of ways to restrict items from this customer. I can restrict to them a commodity code. So again, if I can't ship to them a particular commodity code, or I just flat out don't want to sell them a particular commodity code, I can enter the whole commodity code, and anything with that commodity code will not be able to be sold to Kelson. I could do it by manufacturing code. I can do it by vendor. So any products that come from Franklin Industries cannot be sold to Kelson. And perhaps Franklin is a Swiss vendor, not with that kind of name, right? But but Kelson will only take domestic product, whatever the rules are, whatever the combination of conditions might be. I can utilize this grid to identify commodity, manufacturer, vendor, a division class combination, or a specific item number that I cannot sell to Kelson Arts. Okay, and then as you can see, it could be any combination thereof, and you can just continually list these out. You're not limited in one or the other. Okay. Another option you may or may not know that you have is order guides. So I think of an order guide as kind of like a pamphlet or a magazine. So you send this out, right? If you do catalog buying. Another item that you may or may not know you have is order guides. So I think of an order guide as a catalog, perhaps. It's a listing of products, and you can even separate them out by groups. You get to define your own types of groups, or just list them individually. And this is, or used by order entry only. So order entry can see this, and they can select right from the order guide that is assigned to this customer the products that they are allowed to buy. So this is a good way to lock your customer into only a set group or handful of items. Okay. So what you can find on the customer order file maintenance order guides menu is your order guide setup. You go in, you just create an order guide number or name, whatever you want to call it. This one's called Crazy Crate. And within that, I have added a number of items that they may purchase from me. And this exact exact catalog will then pop up for me to purchase from in order entry. Now, you don't have to lock your customer into a particular order guide, but for the purposes of today's conversation, when we're talking about controlling what they can purchase, on their customer master file, you're going to see the order guide option, and we're going to type that in there. That is that customer's then default order guide for order entry. But I can take it a step further and actually restrict it so they can only purchase items from this order guide. Okay, so again, nobody has to know or remember or keep a spreadsheet. The system will just simply not allow me to order anything that is not in their order guide. Now, this is again under the pharmaceutical features of our package. If you are not a pharmaceutical distributor and you want to talk about utilizing this, just reach out to us. We can talk about the pros and cons of this feature, or maybe pull it into your distribution setting. But this is under our pharmaceutical master file setup under customer order max quantity. So what I mean by that is I would go to the item file, right? Familiar with this screen here. But if you have pharmaceutical turned on in S2K, there's this extra button that you get. And when we select that pharmaceutical button, there's another table of additional information that pops up with another button that says customer order item max quantity. And what we really mean to say is allocations. So if we select that option, a grid pops up for us. And this allows us to create daily and weekly rules with effectivity dates for a particular customer or a group of customers for this item. So the other settings we just looked at have been from the customer perspective um, combined with a set of rules. This is from the item perspective. So I can actually select my item, come in here and say only, this customer class HH, which is home health care, they can only purchase up to one per day. Any customer in this group, I should say, can only purchase up to one per day and no more than 10 per week during this period. This is especially helpful for drugs such as the flu vaccine. This will be very helpful in the future when we have a COVID-19 vaccine that is released, and it's going to be hard to get a hold of initially. We can put some allocations on, right? And we could list out all of our customer classes if we want. It could be all of our customers. It can be an individual customer. Okay, so this individual customer, for example, can only have one per day and no more than one per week. And because I left my from date open and put it in all nines in my to date, that means ongoing until I say otherwise. So again, one grid, multiple options of how you may set this up. So those are the top 4 item control mechanisms I wanted to review with you today. So this is, geared towards helping you manage the inventory that you do have, especially in a world full of craziness like we're having in 2020, but really all the time. Anything that is seasonal or anytime there is an issue that may come up, reducing our quantities in the market or anything that happens to disrupt the supply chain. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can reach out directly to your sales rep or your technical contact, or visit us at www.vai.net, and you can send us a chat on there. Thanks again. Have a great day.